Hello, fellow programmers and YouTubers alike. This is Jordan here to bring you my part two of my Starling series. Sorry I haven't gotten around to it in a long time. Been really busy with a lot of stuff, so let's hop right into it. So when you start your Starling project, you're going to start off with a main class file, and this is where everything, of course, starts because it's the main. And soon after that's created, you're going to want to create your Starling class file or class object. Um, I typically just call it my Starling, but you could really call it whatever you want. Um, it's just a variable name. It's just to keep it simple because you don't want to name it Starling because then you might get it confused with a variable name. So just my Starling or yeah, whatever. Anyways, after you create that, you now have a new class object that you're going to go inside of, and you're going to be um, running the rest of your game on. When you create the Starling object, it'll there's actually a parameter for a class file. So, and then what I typically use for that class file would be game, and now your game class file is the what Starling is running off of. So once we get our game class file running, we'll have game objects that we're going to need to be created. And objects, I decided for the game we're going to be making in this tutorial series, this is going to be like an asteroid remake. Nice and simple, really easy to code. Shouldn't be too many hiccups. So, game objects are going to include like a scoreboard, the asteroids, of course, and the ship. Probably some other things. I can't really think of them right now, but I'm sure I'll figure them out later. Um, Once you create these objects, there's no way for them to do anything unless they're constantly updated. This is where the game loop comes in. The game loop is updated every frame the game is rendered. So if you're get like in a really simplistic game, if you're getting 60 FPS, that means your game is updating 60 times a second. Simple as that. More complex games, they're going to use delta time, which is the difference of time between frames to do their calculations. So if your computer is running slower than other computers, it won't be affected by the speed or the amount of FPS that's running. So if you got a computer that's running 60 FPS, the game's going to be going really fast. And if you got a game that's running at 30, if you got a computer that's running the same game at 30 FPS, it's going to be really, really slow unless you use delta time. I'll show you guys how to use that later on. It's a little bit ahead of ourselves, but just a heads up. So things that are going to be included in this game loop are going to be the asteroids. Um, so the asteroid update function is going to be a part of the asteroid class file. So things that are going to be updated for the asteroids are the position, rotation, collision, and probably some other things such as health, because when you shoot the asteroid, it doesn't disappear, at least in the normal asteroid. It'll break into smaller asteroids. So it's actually going to create another object of the asteroid, but then it's also going to change the way the asteroid looks. So it's going to be smaller, and there's going to be two of them, or three of them, depending on what you want to do. And then our asteroid update is actually going to have its own loop inside of that because there's going to be more than one asteroid. So it has to run through this update, and it has to update each one for all three of these parameters and some more. Next thing we're going to be updating is the ship. Um, yeah, the ship's going to have it's going to be looking for the user input. It's going to be calculating the position based on the user input, and also probably the asteroids as well. Like if the asteroid runs into it, we could also make it bounce in another direction, which would be kind of cool. We'll work on that later. Rotation's also going to be based on user input, health. if a asteroid collides with the spaceship, we could either make it so the asteroid is destroyed, like in the typical asteroids, or we could create a health system so you get so many hits, like that, so many asteroids can hit your ship before you're done. Um, this could also be based upon how big the asteroid is and how fast it's going, or how fast it collides with you, and that could determine how much damage is done. So, could go from there. Um, and then we're going to be calculating the score. The score is typically, it's not really going to be calculated in the ship update. Um, that's going to be calculated. There's probably going to be a separate function over here somewhere checking to see if asteroids are colliding with the ship or if bullets are colliding with asteroids and all sorts of other stuff. So we don't really need that there. I probably shouldn't just left it out. But anyways, onto the scoreboard. Scoreboard. Okay. That one's pretty simple. All it's gonna be is it'll be checking a very like a local variable inside of the game loop, or not in the game loop, the my Starling object. It's just gonna be checking that every time it goes through. We could make it more optimized later on, but for right now, this is a pretty simple way to do it. That's pretty much the general layout for the game we're gonna be making. Um, I don't think I'm missing anything. Of course, this is not final at all. There's a lot of things I can see that are going to be need changing, but it's kind of hard to plan too far ahead. You just need a general template of what you want to do. It makes it a lot simpler later on, so you don't have spaghetti code going everywhere that's one-time use. Um, yeah, so thank you for watching. I'll try to make a follow-up video with code, and yeah, if you guys want to start working on this, if you already know object-oriented programming, I highly recommend you start trying. I mean, that's the best way to learn, is doing it yourself, but I'll come up later with a actual tutorial how to get this general. I'll show you guys how to get sprites going, all that stuff, and yeah, so thank you for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe. Have a good day, guys.